Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video in Microsoft Flight Simulator. We have just reached our top of descent in the magnificent Airbus A330. We're gonna start a descent. So we're gonna turn down to our altitude that we want, and then we're gonna right click. If you're using the legacy controls, then just make sure that this dot shows up, because that means that the aircraft's gonna go into managed mode, and basically it's just gonna stay it's gonna stay exactly where it needs to be on the descent path. So let's fold our rate tables. We just finished a 5-hour flight from Doha in Qatar. This is our livery, and yeah, we're about to land in Frankfurt, Germany. So I'm gonna turn the seatbelt signs on, because when in the descent in the Airbus A330, you're gonna use the speed brakes. I'm gonna deploy them here. These are the speed brakes on the wing, and what these do, they create a big amount of drag. They slow the airplane down, they make it come down faster because the wing makes less lift, but a side effect that these things, a side effect of the speed brake is that the air that passes on top of the wings detaches, and then that's really turbulent air, and it's gonna hit the fuselage and it's gonna make the whole plane shake. And you can't really notice it in the simulator, but you can see the wingtip is going up and down. So we're gonna so yeah, when you're gonna deploy the speed brakes, you want all the passengers to be seated. But yeah, we're gonna check the METAR. So usually I prefer not to use the METAR from the Inabil's EFB, because I'm not quite sure, but I feel like it has been out of date sometimes. So what I usually do, I use Navigraph and get the METAR here. But if you don't have a Navigraph subscription, then that's totally fine to use the METAR from the EFB. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna open the performance page on our FMS. Next page, and then we see approach. So we're gonna open the METAR. So the QNH, oh, by the way you decode the METAR, it's just you only need the QNH, the temperature, and the wind. Retract speed brake. Okay, speed brake is retracted. So you need the QNH, the temperature, and the wind. And the way you can get it, so the QNH is gonna be a Q1039. If you're flying in the US, it's gonna be A and then a number like 2992. And then if you're flying in the US, you're gonna insert it with a decimal, but you can do it without the decimal as well. So QNH 1039, we're gonna put it into our FMS. There we go, insert. Next, what do we need next? We need the temperature. You can see the temperature, it's usually some random number, a slash, and another random number. And if it says M, that means it's a negative, so negative degrees. So this is the temperature is at 0, and the dew point is at -2. But we only need the temperature, so we're gonna get in 0. But if, for example, it says M3, for example, for the temperature, what are you gonna do? You're gonna insert this, and then it's a negative. If you want it to be a positive, put this. So yeah, if it would be negative temperature, you insert a negative and then the value. But yeah, for us it's gonna be exactly 0 degrees. Next up, the wind. The wind is gonna be 1904 knots. The way you identify the wind, it's just, you can see it says knots, so 1904. So we're gonna put in 190/4. Put that in. Next up, we have the minimums here. Oh crap, I forgot that we set 30,000 feet, so we're gonna set 10,000. We're gonna deploy the speed brakes completely. So the minimums, basically, that's the minimum altitude you need to see the runway. If you don't see the runway at the minimum altitude, then you have to go around. And the way you get the minimums, you're gonna head into Navigraph, and you can also do the same process on ChartFox, and then you just get your ILS runway charts. Oh yeah, it wants me to retract the speed brakes. So, you're gonna head into your ILS runway chart, and then here, DAH, like descent altitude, it's gonna be 561 barometric or 200 above ground. So if you want to use the radio altimeter, you can type in 200 and put it in here, but I usually prefer to use the barometric minimums. That's the barometric minimums are determined with by using the conventional altitude measuring device altimeter, and the reason I prefer to put in minimums with the barometric minimums. If you fly over a mountain, and then it's gonna say minimums, and the plane's gonna think that it's gonna be below the minimums, even though it just flew over the mountain. So barometric minimums are more reliable, but you have to put in the correct QNH. So I'm gonna go into the arrival chart, and what we wanna see. So we are right here, and we're gonna plan our descent. I'm just gonna type in flight level 110. It wants me to retract the speed brakes. That's pretty annoying. I do not want to retract the speed brakes. I guess I'm gonna find like a middle setting. So, next up, we want the transition level. Some airports have a fixed transition level when it says, for example, 13,000 feet or 7,000 feet. Here, the transition level is by ATC. So then the VATSIM, the person on VATSIM, the air traffic controller on VATSIM, would tell you the transition level in the ATIS. But because we're not on VATSIM right now, we're just gonna check the QNH and set it as soon as we want to. So the QNH is gonna be 1039er. You can see right here, 1039er. So, next up, we're gonna calculate our stopping performance. So we're gonna head over to simbrief.com. Stand by, I'll be with you right away. So, here we are. So we're gonna go aircraft type, A330-300. The Rolls-Royce engines, airport EDDF. Runway is gonna be 25 left. Oh, this is takeoff. Hold on. Landing performance is what we need to do. So A330-300 with Rolls-Royce engines, EDDF for Frankfurt. Runway 25 left. Landing weight 155260. 155260. Okay, got it. Next, we're gonna select flaps 3. Because if you have, because flaps 3 is very, it's very nice to use in the A330, even though SOP, standard operating procedure, is flaps 4. If you're a new pilot, I would just go for flaps 4, because it's easier to fly, it's stabler. But if you're more experienced, you can go for flaps 3. And if there's any tailwind on the landing, you're gonna go for flaps 4. So, so it told us auto brakes low and flap setting 3 and reverses yes. You can also turn off the reversers and see, but we're gonna use reversers to put a little bit less of stress onto the wheel brakes. Select the engine page right here. So, I'm gonna open the charts, and yeah. So something else we can we can select the ILS chart, just 111.15 for the ILS DME and the course of 246. So we're gonna head into our FMS RadNav page, and as you can see, it's not pre-selected. Sometimes the Airbus is gonna put it in itself, but sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, you're gonna do slash and then put in the frequency 111.15. 111.15. Put it in. Next up, the course, it's gonna be 246 degrees. We're gonna type that in. Oops. 246 degrees. And now we're gonna be able to do the ILS approach. What else do we have to do? So our transponder is set to above. I always forget to set it to below. As soon as you reach your cruising altitude after climbing, you're gonna set it to below. I know it's weird, but that's just how it is. I think it would be less weird if you would just set it to below as soon as you're descending, but I guess that's just how it is. So, as you can see here, this is our approach. So we're gonna fly here. We're gonna turn left, make this sort of holding. We're gonna fly back here, get us set up onto a final, and then do our approach. So the temperature is 1 degree. Usually when you're at below 10 degrees and there is visual moisture, you're gonna turn on the engine anti-ice, but here I'm way above the moisture right now, so I'm gonna keep the anti-ice off for now, but I'm gonna be turning it on soon. Okay, so I just noticed we're not gonna take this approach. I thought we were gonna take this approach and then it would be 11,000 feet for a descent, but we're actually gonna take this approach. So flight level 130. There we go, got that set up. And then after that, it looks like the descent is at our own discretion, so we can choose how we want to descend. So we're just gonna check here. So at Delta Foxtrot 620, which is this waypoint right here, we need to be at 4,000 feet. So there's this rule of thumb. I kind of forgot it, but I think it was you need 3 nautical miles. Okay, no, that can't be. I forgot the rule of thumb on how to descend in the A330, but it wasn't a good rule of thumb anyways. So I think we're gonna maintain around 7,000 in this circuit, and then once we get a line onto final, we're gonna descend to 4,000. I think that sounds good. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering, this is the landing gear gravity extension, so if the landing gear is not gonna deploy because of some failure, you can just use this. I've never done it actually, but it's just pretty easy. Just open it, click the button, or pull it. I'm not sure, but you should be able to figure it out. And yeah, in the A320 there's actually a thing here where you have to turn it with your own muscles, and yeah, the A330 is just like more efficient than the A320, like more advanced and stuff. And the nice Easter egg they added in the Inabuilds A330, if you click the video button, you can actually see a video of the cabin, but it's just an image. It's not a live video. It's just an image, so you can turn that off. Yeah, there's not much for us to do except just monitor what the plane is trying to do. So we're gonna get all these lights on as soon as we get below 10,000 feet. In the US, I believe we would turn it on at 18,000 feet. And also in the US, the transition level, when you set the local QNH or the local altimeter, would be 18,000 feet at every airport. So that's I think that's pretty nice because in the Europe you have to just check the charts and see the transition altitude. It's just easier in the US because you just know that it's going to be 18,000 feet. I'm not even sure what approach what we're gonna do, what we're gonna have to prepare. So flight level 130 at Delta Foxtrot 407, we're gonna have to be at 220 knots. So yeah, at this point I would just monitor the approach, see what the airplane is doing. But by the way, you have to keep this in mind. I'm not a real life type rated Airbus A330 pilot, so just keep that in mind. I just get all my information from the internet, so. Let's check our cabin temperature. What? Okay, never mind. It's 24. That's a pretty nice temperature, so I'm not going to change anything. So what's a cool part about the Airbus? There's this approach phase in the FMS, and it's basically then the aircraft is just going to behave a little bit differently about the navigation and stuff. And usually it's going to also, and the speed is going to decelerate to the final approach speed, and usually it activates the approach phase automatically. But sometimes it doesn't. I'm not sure under which criteria it activates automatically. So when it doesn't activate automatically, then I'm just gonna activate it manually. Also, if we head over to our performance, and here, I forgot we're gonna do a flaps 3 landing, so we're gonna select config 3. VLS is gonna be our approach speed. And if we just select flap 3, I have experienced that the Airbus is gonna warn me that it's gonna tell me too low flaps. So what I have found that fixed the issue, we're gonna head over to the overhead panel and press the GPWS flap mode button, or pull it out, not press it. And yeah, when it says off, then it's just not gonna warn you about your flaps configuration. But then you could also just land with flaps set to 0 and it's not gonna warn you. So I'm not sure how they do it in the real world. ChatGPT told me that they pull this out, but yeah, you should always take it with a grain of salt, whatever ChatGPT tells you. So let's check the METAR. I think it has gone refreshed. Let's see. Yep, there's a new METAR. So 180 at 3 for the winds. NH is still gonna be 1039 and the temperature is the same. So yeah, the sun is pretty low because it's the winter, and then it shines right onto the displays, which is a bit disturbing, but it's alright. So I'm gonna start our descent to 7,000 feet. And yeah. It's telling me that we're gonna get to 7,000 feet there. Okay, now it's going up. Okay. So if we get to 7,000 feet around here, that's good. I'm not gonna deploy the speed brakes at all on this descent. And I don't think we're gonna use them at all for this flight. I think we're done. So we're gonna arm them. So yeah, auto brakes set to low, speed brakes are armed. And the weather radar, as soon as you land and vacate the runway, you're gonna turn it off. Because if the ground crew gets too close, then they're gonna get fried by the weather radar. It's actually very, very unhealthy. Now we're at 13 degrees Celsius. Oh. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So we're at 13 degrees Celsius, 12 degrees Celsius now. So we don't need the engine anti-ice, even though there is visible moisture. So I'm gonna keep an eye on the temperature, and if it drops below 10 degrees, we're gonna turn on the engine anti-ice. Now, the wing anti-ice usually stays off unless you see ice build up on the icing probe here. And if it's night and you can see the icing probe, just press this button, and then it's gonna light up. So yeah, if there's any ice build up on here, you need to turn on the wing anti-ice. But usually don't have it on because it just takes a lot of energy. So we're passing through 10,000 feet. So I'm gonna turn on the landing lights, axial lights, nose lights, and the wind lights. Everything looking good. And we are decelerating to 220 knots. We should not drop below 10,000 feet above 250 knots. That's actually that's a speed restriction. Actually, maybe we're gonna have to use the speed brakes later on when we're here and descending to 4,000. I'm not quite sure. We'll see. But I'm gonna turn on the ALS here just to monitor it. Yeah, but I'm not gonna arm the approach yet, because it's just gonna lock onto the ILS when I don't even want it to do that. So we're at 7 degrees now and visible moisture, so that means engine anti-ice is coming on. Maybe you have ever wondered what navigation in local lights 1 and 2 is. So it's basically just every light, navigation light, it actually has 2 of the red lights in there. And actually green lights on the right side. So there's actually 2 of them, and you set them, if you set them to position 1, then only one of them is going to be on. And if you set it to position 2, then the other one is going to be on, but the first one is going to be off. This is basically only used if one of the lights breaks, and then you're going to set to the other position where the light's still working. Like, I don't know how to explain it, so I hope that makes sense. I'm not sure why we're adding in power. I'm just gonna go into the descent modes. The selected descent. So 20 knots on the speed is good. So our temperature is 4 degrees. Wow, it has dropped down massively quickly. That's pretty impressive. Oh, let's get some wing views here. This is pretty nice. Yeah. By the way, I absolutely love this Rolls-Royce engine for the A330. I don't know why. I absolutely hate the General Electric CF6 for the A330. But I absolutely love the Rolls-Royce. The Rolls-Royce just looks so much better. I'm not even sure why. And we have picked up the glide slope, the LS glide slope. So it looks like I'm not quite sure what it wants us to do here. Huh. Okay, I don't get it. Because in the chart it says there's a waypoint. Okay, never mind. I'm just dumb. I didn't find the waypoint on the ND. So at this waypoint right here, we need to be at 4,000 feet. So we're gonna fly. So we're gonna fly back, and then we're gonna get onto the final and pick up the glide slope. And I think we can pick it up at 7,000 feet. Yeah, looking good. I'm probably gonna stay at 7,000 feet and try to pick up the glide slope. Oh, flying right into a cloud. Let's go. This is cool. Nice. I love flying in the clouds, dude. I don't know why. I just like not being able to see anything. So we are coming. We're gonna get close to the beginning of this final. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a 10-mile final. I'm not sure. So the way we're gonna line up, we're gonna go to the direct to page, and we're gonna direct to Delta Foxtrot 626. Here we go, Delta Foxtrot 626, and direct. And I'm not sure if it's too early. Nope. I'm definitely not accelerating up to 250 knots. So I'm gonna get my throttle and the joystick ready. There we go. So once we're turned and lined up, I think I'm gonna start my deceleration to final approach speed. We are currently 39 nautical miles away from Frankfurt. I'm gonna arm the approach. So, we're gonna keep the autopilot running until we have a good visual on the runway. And if we don't see the runway until the minimums, we're gonna go around. The go around altitude is gonna be 5,000 feet. So yeah, we're gonna, as soon as we picked up the glide slope, we're gonna pre-select 5,000 feet in case we need to go around. So I'm not sure. I think we need to decelerate there, so that's where I'm gonna decelerate. So we're turning final now. We cannot... Okay, now we can see the runway 25 left. So in case of a go around, direct Delta Foxtrot 685 climbing 5000, and then we're gonna hold at the VOR Charlie Hotel Alpha. So, what we're gonna do, we're gonna start configuring our aircraft right now. I think this here means decelerate, but I'm gonna decide to decelerate a bit earlier because I'm unfamiliar with the procedures. I mean, no, I'm not unfamiliar with the procedures because I know the procedures, but I don't fly into Frankfurt often, so I haven't done this a lot. Like 5,000, I guess. Because I feel like we should have already intercepted the ILS. There we go, we just intercepted the ILS right now. So we're gonna maintain 7,000. Approach. Arm the approach, there we go. We activated the approach phase in our FMS as well. So, the airplane is gonna fly itself until we're close to the runway and have good visuals on the runway, and then that's where when we're gonna disconnect the autopilot. So flaps 2, flaps 3, and yeah, as you can see, the flaps are now slowly deploying. So, I'm gonna keep the gear up a bit longer, save some fuel. Yeah. So, I'm not sure why it's telling us to stay at 220 here. I'm having trouble to believe this. If you fly into Frankfurt often in the simulator, then leave a comment down below, because I'm not sure how you're gonna be able to decelerate the A330 so quickly. So, we are on the localizer, I think. Yeah, I don't think we're following the nav. I think we're on the localizer because it says loc right here. Localizer. And when we're gonna get the glide slope, as you can see here, we are in altitude mode, and the glide slope is armed, and we're gonna intercept the glide slope, and then it's gonna start following the glide slope. Yep, it's armed. Everything is looking good. I'm gonna reduce the range on the navigation display. And as you can see, now we are on glide slope. And now we're descending. So now that we are descending, we can select the go around altitude. It's just gonna keep following the glide slope. Beautiful. I'm gonna snap a screenshot. There we go. I'm gonna upload that to Volanta. By the way, my Volanta profile is in my channel description, so you can go check that out if you want to. So yeah, by the way, if you don't know what Volanta is, it's basically you can just track the flights, so you can track where I'm flying. If you go into that profile, you can send me a friend request, I'll accept it. I accept all friend requests. I'm just gonna double check. Yes, the spoilers are armed, flaps landing, TRA, the transponder is correct. Auto braking low. Flap mode is pulled, and engine anti-ice is alright. No ice build-up on the probe, which is good. So, yeah. Landing gear is still gonna stay up for some time. Really nice livery. Our engines are idling. It's crazy how slippery the A330 is. That's really nice. I like it. But I'm definitely really excited for the inbuilt Airbus A350. I'm gonna be really happy when it drops. So we're passing our go-around altitude, and there we go. As you can see, on the navigational display, we can see the go-around path that we're gonna follow in case of a go-around. There we go, passing 5,000, and we still have no chance of seeing the runway, since the there's overcast at 600 feet above ground, and our minimums are at 200 feet above ground. So overcast, by the way, means that you can't see the sky. There's so much clouds that you can't see the sky at all. Let's get some wing views. Wow, this is absolutely beautiful. Oh my god. Wow. Just wow. This simulator looks absolutely gorgeous. Going into the clouds, are we? And you can see the heat from the engine. So, still no chance of seeing the runway. I think we're gonna turn off the autopilot at around 500 feet above ground, when we have good visuals on the runway, because I don't just want to be able to see the runway a bit, I really want to be able to see the runway, because it's just, you want to keep the autopilot on until you see the runway, because then your brain gets overwhelmed and you're gonna try to pull up the nose automatically, because you get overwhelmed and then your brain wants to slow stuff down, so it's gonna pull up the nose so that you start to get slower, you know. But you don't want that, so basically you just want to be looking outside and absorb all the information. And then once you see the runway and there's nothing new to see, then you can disconnect the autopilot and be concentrated on your primary flight display. So we're gonna keep the auto throttle on, because I just prefer it to be on in these not so easy conditions. So our radio altimeter should be coming on soon, as we're gonna be passing through somewhat like 2,700 feet. I'm not sure at what altitude the airport is. The altitude, let me check. Airport elevation is at 363 feet. We're gonna get the, there we go, radio altimeter is now on. So this is the altitude above ground. So let's see. Damn, this is really exciting. I absolutely love low visibility conditions. Yesterday I was landing the Phoenix Airbus A320 into Norway, and that short is gonna get uploaded sometime, I think the 10th of February, because I have the shorts scheduled to upload in advance. So when I record something, it gets uploaded something like 7 days later. Wow. So no chance to see the runway. So as we pass through 600 feet, we should be able to see the runway a bit. Oh, there's an updated METAR. Okay, I'm not gonna reprogram it. It's not a big change. A bit more wind. I'm not gonna change anything in the FMS. So, 1,000 feet to go, and then we should be able to see the runway. Very, very interesting. Make sure, yep, our landing lights are on. Everything's looking good. Let's get a wing view. Wow, it's really dark. Oh, we can see the ground. Let's get back into the cockpit. Yep, we can start. We're starting to see the ground now. But still no sign of seeing the runway. Absolutely nothing. Nope, I can't see it. Oh my god. What would we do without the ILS, dude? I absolutely love the ILS. It's my favorite type of approach. Precision approach. I should do more auto landings, dude, because it's really interesting. So if we can't see the runway in time, then we're gonna go around and do auto land. $800 feet. We should. There we go. Runway lights in sight. Oops. Oh my god, that's embarrassing. I didn't put the landing gear down. Usually that doesn't really happen. It happens sometimes when I get distracted. That's why checklist exists, folks. Our landing gear is still unlocked. 1 green. 500 feet. Come on! Come on, come on. 2 green, 3 green, there we go. And disconnecting the autopilot. Okay, plane is mine. The A330, I find it really hard to fly, by the way. So I'm gonna stop talking now because I want to concentrate. Oh, continue. I forgot.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
We're too early. Oh my god. That was not a good landing. Okay. Mac reversers. I like to use reversers in low visibility. Oh my god! A baggage cart. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go idle reversers. And we're gonna vacate right here. So disconnect the auto brakes. That was not a good landing. Jesus. Let me check my landing rate. 286 landings, 286 feet per minute, but it was off central line, so I've done better. So vacate. We're going 32 knots. I'm gonna get some braking in now. There you go. We're gonna stop after this line. That's how you do it. Okay. There we go. So we're gonna turn off the ILS, turn off the constraints, turn off the weather radar, turn off the chrono. Here we go. Turn off the landing lights. Strobe lights off. We're gonna keep the engine anti-icing on. Let me check the temperature. Yep, 0 degrees. We're gonna keep the anti-icing on. So we're gonna start up the APU so that by the time we arrive at the gate, we're gonna have electrical power. So, okay, so the spoiler's already retracted. Let's get the flaps up. There we go. Beautiful. It's really dark here. Jesus. So, I don't even know where Discover Airlines parks in real life, so I'm just gonna get a random gate. I'm not sure if the strobe lights would actually be on in these low visibility conditions. I don't think they would be. I think we need less visibility to actually turn on the strobe lights on the taxiway. We're gonna cross a runway, and that's when we're gonna turn on the strobe light. Okay, so we're gonna turn right here. Oh my god, I'm too fast. I'm too fast for a turn. It should be around 10 knots if you want to go in a turn in an A330. It's really hard to see anything on my monitor because it's so dark, and where I live it's almost noon right now, so really bright on my end and it's really dark. Frankfurt. So we're gonna get these strobe lights on because we're passing over a runway. By the way, I'm using Navigraph on my second monitor to navigate the airport, so approach sector is clear. Yeah. So, braking. Okay. Get some differential braking. Well, you do need to oversteer in the A330. You need to get some oversteering in because it's a pretty long aircraft. So, we're gonna park at Terminal 1. I don't even know where Discover Airlines parks in real life. Yeah. So, we're gonna turn left at the second next opportunity. And then we're gonna go to Terminal 1, taxiway November 5, and I think we're gonna get into gate Alpha 15. So we're not turning left here, this is the de-icing area. And then we're not taking this left here as well. I really need to install a Lufthansa A330 livery and fly from Frankfurt. This is a really nice airport, and I'm using the default scenery, by the way. So we're gonna turn left here, get some braking. I'm too fast. There we go. Turn left with some differential braking. So, there are some gates that are open. Sorry, that I can't use. I could go into FSLTL traffic injector and remove nearby planes, but I'm not gonna do that. Okay, so probably we're gonna go into that gate over there. So for some reason in 2020 there used to be a marshaller when you request taxi clearance. There used to be somebody that marshals you into the gate, but I think they removed it for 2024, which is really sad because I love that feature. Because I don't have any payware add-ons that make the parking display work, whatever it's called. So, strobe lights off, I forgot, and taxi lights off. We're gonna use the external camera to park in. Alpha 17. And stop. There we go. So, parking brake is set. I'm gonna turn off the engine anti-icing. I turn off the engines, transponder, standby, fuel bleed, beacon off. What is this? Okay, why is that? Oops, that's the wrong button. I wanted to turn on the APU bleed. What am I doing? So, ground services, toggle the jetway. I forgot to turn on the cabin lights. Yeah, they're pretty dim. But I don't know why Inibills decided to use blue cabin lighting. I think I can speak for the whole community that nobody likes this blue cabin lighting. I mean, I guess it works nicely with the Discover Airlines livery, but for every other livery, it just doesn't work. So we're gonna shut down our plane. Align the ADIRs. APU off. Battery off. So, plane is cold and dark. Thanks for watching. And yeah, see you sometime soon. Bye bye.